Hi there, I'm Mike, and what I have for you today is Star Wars The Black Series number 64, Range Trooper. Home on the Range Trooper. I didn't really know how else to fit that joke into the review, so I just shoved it up front. There it is. Let's move on. Check out a picture of the Range Trooper while I read the bio on the back of the box. The Imperial expansion requires a settlement of vital operations on remote outpost worlds. These frontier stormtroopers form a backbone of stubborn defense against the would-be thieves and pirates. When I first saw this figure on Instagram, when I peeped it with my peepers on that feed, I said, and I quote, well, there it is. The best possible Star Wars The Black Series figure ever. Let's see how true that prediction is, shall we? First, I have to say this about Solo. I don't really know much about the story. Obviously, it isn't out yet as of the recording of this. I will say though, just like Rogue One before it, it seems like they're using these anthology films to just pump out a bunch of rad looking Star Wars stuff. Stuff that was left on the drawing board and they want to come around and use later. This Range Trooper is clearly suited for cold environments. Even more so, at least just looking at it, than the Snow Trooper. The only reason, if you think about it, that we call the Snow Trooper is because we saw it running around Hoth and Echo Base. Looking at it, it doesn't really look like he's suited for cold weather, other than that's just where we're used to seeing him. This should be a Snow Trooper. I know that might be heresy for some people to hear, but just think about it. Just think about it with an open mind. Back to looks. He looks like he should. One of the nice things about being a trooper is that he doesn't have to worry about looking like a specific actor or she. I don't want to play that game. This figure looks like what we've seen in the trailer so far, and that's all we've seen. The only thing we really know about this figure so far is it hangs out on remote planets, i.e. a cold planet. That's what we saw in the trailer, and it was hanging out on top of a train in some kind of rad train roof battle. I don't know what's happening there. Probably some kind of heist, maybe the job. I don't know. I don't even know what planet it was on. You know, when I first saw him, I thought I was gonna make a bunch of pimp jokes. Oh, he's got his pimp coat, whatever. Now all I see is like a Soviet era communist. Like his hat, his helmet, you put like a star in the middle there, maybe like a hammer and sickle somewhere, and it looks like he should be talking with a thick, heavy Russian accent. That's all I see now. I can't not see it. More so than pimp, but there's still a little bit of pimp there. But what does he come with? Well, he comes with a blaster of some sort. I don't really know what kind of blaster it is. It's not a Stormtrooper blaster, and it's not a Clone Wars Clone Trooper blaster, although it looks more like that than a Stormtrooper blaster. I know the Solo movie takes place like 10 or 15 years before Star Wars A New Hope, so I guess it would make sense for some technology to look closer to how it looked then. I'm not a gun expert. I have to look up Wikipedia for all the different E11s and, DL44s and things like that. The long story short, he comes with one gun, and that's friggin' it, and it kind of sucks. Star Wars The Black Series started off super strong in early waves. It's kind of come and gone here and there. One character might have like 5 guns, the next character might come with just 1 gun. Some character might have an alternate head or alternate hands. Some character might have nothing. It's so weird what they pick and choose to come with more or less. I will say though, the gun that it does come with is just a blank molded piece of plastic. No wash, no dry brushing, just that. And I kind of wish that they had painted it up just a little bit to match how much they painted up on the coat. What else could he have come with? I don't know. I haven't seen the movie yet. He probably has some other accessory they could have put in there, but they didn't because they don't want to spoil something. But I can't imagine any specific accessory they could have given him and had it spoil the entire movie. Then again, I haven't seen the movie yet, so maybe that is the case. There's always the ability to add alternate hands. There's no reason they shouldn't have alternate hands. Hands for stopping, hands for pointing, hands for just being open and existing. But they don't. All they gave us was a gun. And that kind of sucks. What is nice about the gun is it does fit nicely into his hand. The trigger finger folds right into there, and the articulation of that arm is actually pretty good despite the thickness of his molding. Let's go ahead and take a look at that articulation real quick. His head moves side to side, as well as his fur flap. His head moves forward this far, back this far. It doesn't really tilt. His arm moves out that far, all the way around. Single jointed elbow, but despite the thickness here, he actually has a pretty good bend. Has a swivel at the wrist, as well as a hinge, but that is hindered by the sculpt of his sleeve. He has a swivel at the diaphragm joint. Not much forward, kind of backwards. His leg is hindered on the way forward by the strap here and by his cod piece. It's also hindered back because of the molded plastic of his skirt. He has a swivel at the upper thigh as well as a swivel at the knee, but only a single jointed knee. At the ankle we have a hinge as well as a slight pivot, with this being his widest stance with both feet flat on the ground. Not very far. So there you have it. He's a thick boy, but despite that thickness, he actually retains a lot of mobility on the upper areas, not so much in the lower areas. It's like better in places that I thought it was going to be and worse in places that I thought was going to be better. Does that make sense? I'm very happy to see that didn't pull a first order stormtrooper and have the molding get in the way of how much his single jointed elbow could turn. Hasbro's really stepped up their elbow game recently. Pretty much every figure made in the last year has had fantastic elbow articulation or sculpting that let the elbow have fantastic articulation. However, pretty much anything from the waist down kind of sucks. The cod piece and this hard plastic skirt get in the way of any kind of mobility. On top of that, his pants are like harnessed into his coat. I don't really know any reason why his pants would have to be harnessed into his coat, other than maybe it's windy for being on top of the train, maybe, so that it doesn't flap all over the place. I guess that makes sense. I'm just used to seeing harnesses like that on, pilots and drivers, things like that to get harnessed into the seats. But that being said, it does hinder any kind of mobility he has below his waist. Long story short, his lower half is really limited. His upper half is not as limited as I thought it was going to be. A lot of it has to do with his molding, so let's go ahead and take a look at that. Starting from the top, his helmet is great. It's sort of left over from like the Shore Trooper look, but it's not the same. It's a lot whiter than the Shore Trooper. The painting on it is fantastic. It does have some dry brushing around the edges to give it a worn look. Below that, we have the piece that I was looking forward to the most. When I first saw that picture of the Range Trooper, I thought, is that finely detail sculpted or is that actual fur? It's actual fur. It's honestly really well done. It is just like a soft kind of cloth, and it is a separate piece, so it kind of moves around. I just had one piece fall off. That's the first piece of flocking I've had fall off. Be a little bit careful of that, but I've had this for like 2 weeks now and it hasn't fallen apart yet. That's like the first piece, so I think that's pretty good. That does bring up the question, how long will something like this last? And that is the big debate between soft goods and hard molded plastic. They did kind of one of each. And I like that and don't like that at the same time. I do think in this case the soft goods on the top looks fantastic. It feels fantastic. It hangs right. Down here I kind of wish they could have done something similar, but I don't know how well that would have looked because they have the molding on the inside and then also molding on the outside, whereas this pretty much has nothing underneath, and it would not look as good if this were what this looked like here. Hard molded plastic in this case is one of those things where it's like a necessary evil. If you want it to look good, this is where it's at, but this is nice. The chest piece has some Rod Liefeld-ian pouches. It's got a lot of great detail and scuffing on it. His arm actually is hollowed out. The gloves kind of disappear into the sleeve, which is really cool. It's something I really haven't seen a lot of. It definitely gives him that big overcoat feel. That brings us down into his lower body. Whew. These Gundam boots, right? Oh my god, the sculpting and detailing on these, I do wish that they had a little bit more maybe paint wear on them to look like the armor does, where it's definitely been scuffed up. There's a lot of molded detail in here. There's like gas tanks, there's hoses, there's lights, there's rivets and sensors and piping. I really like the detail put into these boots. They're fantastic. So what about this Pimp Trooper? Did I want it? Is it what we asked for? I mean, I guess no one really asked for it is the thing. We didn't really know it existed until the figure popped up as like an announcement. But as soon as I saw him, I thought, yes, that is what I want. As far as where to get him, he's pretty much available now. He's part of the newest wave that just came out sometime over the last weekend, but I got mine a little bit early because I found them on the top of a shelf at Walmart hidden. So I don't know if an employee hid them there because they weren't supposed to be out yet, or if someone hid them there because they couldn't afford it. Too bad. You snooze, you lose. I found it and I couldn't be happier. I have seen him on the shelf once since finding him initially. I've also seen him available online. I know actually Amazon had him on sale for like $17, which is a pretty good price. So if you want this guy, just go out and look for him. He's pretty readily available. So what about my arbitrary rating for him? Well, he looks good, that's for sure. He's let down by his lack of posability in some areas, and he's let down by his lack of accessories. But everything else is so good. I'm gonna give him an arbitrary rating of a 4 out of 5. I wish I could give him more. Just seeing him on my shelf, I love how he looks. In my mind, this has supplanted the Snow Trooper for the king of cold weather climates. This actually has made me rethink my one trooper policy. I might buy another one just to have 2 of these because they look that good. It's really one of my favorite figures in the line so far. I don't know if that will go up or down when the Solo movie hits. There's a lot of unknown factors there, but as of right now, all I have to base it on is the trailer that's been out and some pictures we've seen online and this figure that's in my hand, and I like it. I like it a lot. And I feel like he's definitely worthy to be in pretty much anyone's collection, regardless of if you like the movie or not. So that's it for my Range Trooper review. What did you think? Did you agree with me? Let me know in the downstairs area below. I like to read those and comment. There's a bunch of great ways that you can support my channel if you want to, also in the description down below. Like, share, subscribe, you know, the normal YouTube stuff that people say at the end of YouTube videos, and that's it. Thanks for watching. Thanks for getting this far, and I'll see you later. Bye.